Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Jemima Speaks. My name is Jemima. I'm a registered nurse, and this is my channel. This is the place where we talk about health, wellness, what to do to prevent health issues, what to do to manage health issues for those who already have some type of chronic health issue going on. So, this is the place. If this is your first time joining us, please consider subscribing and as well as put on the notification bell. I put out new videos every week. Also, hit the like button and share with your friends. For those who are returning, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support and continue to do so. So today we're going to focus about high blood pressure. The last video, I was talking about self-care and the impact of practicing good self-care, the positive impact it has on, things like high blood pressure, diabetes. But I started to focus on high blood pressure. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about high blood pressure. So what is high blood pressure? Okay, so if you can think about, let's start with the heart. Everybody have one, and your heart is the size of your fist. So just make a fist, whatever size your fist is, that's the size of your heart. Our heart is always pumping. It's called the great pump, right? Because it's pumping every day. It was pumping since you were in your mother's womb. It has to pump because as the heart pumps, it pushes out blood throughout our whole body. So that's what the heart's job is. It takes in blood, cleans it out, puts oxygen in it. Oxygen that comes from our lungs goes into the blood, and it pumps that good oxygenated blood throughout all our body, all the different organs. So the job of the heart is very, very important. When we eat, it goes through our gut, our digestive tract. It picks up some nutrients, all those nutrients we need to get our body going, like the calcium, potassium, all that stuff. It picks it up, then it brings it to different parts of the body and give it out to different organs. It does the same thing with, the oxygen we get in the water and the oxygen that we breathe in that goes into our lungs. It picks up the oxygen and carries it all over our organs. And when it goes to a different chamber, it gives up carbon dioxide, which we breathe out. So without going into all the nitty-gritty practicals, the anatomy and physiology of the heart, just know that the heart's job is to pump that blood so the blood can circulate throughout all our body, all our organs, picking up important nutrients, giving off, carbon dioxide, refuse, and through our kidney and our bowels, giving up toxins when we urinate, giving off toxins when we poop. So the blood is doing a lot of work. Now, the blood has to go through our blood vessels. So think of your blood vessels as the connecting lines to make all of that happen. Now, blood pressure happens when the amount of force it takes for the heart to pump becomes greater. So now, let's say if it was pumping fine normally, but now because of things that are happening in the blood vessels, now it has to put more force to get the blood to go where it needs to be. You need some force for the blood to pump, but when it gets to a point where it's making the heart work harder, right, where it affects the power by which the blood is pumped, now that becomes a problem. Now, what causes that? Well, there's a lot of factors. Our blood vessels, when they are stretchy, right, when they're very flexible, think of our blood vessels. where the blood, or the connective tunnels that carries the blood all over our body, our blood vessels. Just think of them as, when they are nice and flexible, it's easy for the blood to go through, right? But when they become stiff, now the blood has to push harder to get through. Think of it as traffic, traffic in your blood vessels. It's not a good thing. And so when the blood vessels have traffic jam, let's call it, or it becomes stiff, now the heart has to put much more force to get the nutrients, the oxygen, to where they need to go. So that's kind of like my layman's way of explaining what could happen with what causes, how high blood pressure comes about. And the blood vessels, they get damaged by various ways. Buildup of toxins in them, because maybe we're not moving our bowels well, we're not drinking enough water, and then we have loads and loads amount of hormones piling up in our blood vessels. Maybe there's diabetes going on, and so the wall of our blood vessels is not as healthy, and there's too much sugar floating in there. Stress hormones impact the blood vessels as well. When we're under stress, it's like our blood vessels getting beaten. So there's a lot of different things. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty, but just know that blood pressure affects the heart, which is the pump, because now it has to work harder, and our blood vessels get impacted as well. Now, when you go to the doctor, they put a cuff around your arm and they pump it and they're listening in the stethoscope. Or you can go to CVS and buy those cuffs. You put it in your arm or in your wrist and you press a button, and then it gives you a reading. It could be something like 120 over 90, right? Those are the numbers that the doctor is looking for to measure how much force does the heart have to start with to get the blood going. And even after the blood goes through, when the heart is at rest, how much pressure is the heart still under? So those are the two numbers. You might hear them talking about your diastolic number and your systolic number. So it's basically measuring how much pressure the heart is under when it's pushing the blood and when it's resting. Because the motion is it push, it pumps, and it opens up and rests. It pumps and it opens up and rests. When the heart pumps, it's pushing it through the body. When it opens up to rest, it's filling up, okay? Because, the blood goes around. So when the blood comes into the heart rests to fill up, right? And then it pushes the blood out through the blood vessels. So we're trying to figure out how much pressure is the heart on, even when it opens up to fill up. At that point, it's supposed to rest. If it's not resting, after a while, the walls of the heart becomes almost like frozen and stiff. It's not able to pump as much. This is when you start to get complications with fluid going in different parts of your body, fluids filling up your ankles, because the pumping action is weak, because your heart has not been able to rest, and over time it loses the power. Just think if you are doing your motion for a long time and then your hand become kind of cramped, so you can't close your fingers all the way. That can happen over time if the blood pressure is not treated. So it's something that you have to pay attention to. And so the top number has to do with the heart pushing the blood, and the bottom is when it's supposed to rest, when it's supposed to relax. So if your bottom number is more than 80, that's a lot of pressure. If the top number is more than 120, that's a lot of pressure. Normal blood pressure is 120 over 80 or less. Anything more than that now you have high blood pressure. It's too much work on the heart. It's too much. And so that's what those numbers mean. And that's why you have to pay attention to those. Now, those numbers can be impacted. The top number, if you just had a very stressful moment or you are just running, if you go check your blood pressure, that number is going to be high. So that's why when you're doing your blood pressure, you're supposed to sit and rest for at least 5 minutes before you check your blood pressure. Or else, whatever activity you are going to do is going to immediately show in the top number. The bottom number more shows what's been happening with you over a longer period of time. So if you've been eating a lot of salt for a couple of weeks, if you've been under a lot of stress, so you've been anxious, so that's going to show up over time, because the heart of your wall has been working too much. And so the bottom number shows the condition of what's been happening to your heart over a longer period of time, whereas the top number shows what's been happening, the impact of what's been happening with you on a shorter span of time. And so just keep that in mind. When you see your numbers are off, do a mental check. Have I been under a lot of stress? Have I been eating a lot of salt, too much fat? Am I not drinking water, right? Am I sleeping well? Because, when we sleep, that's when the body gets to really rest and do repairs. So when you see those numbers, you should be concerned, but don't freak out. Don't add to your stress. Just think, what have I been doing? And then make the changes. Change accordingly. So those are very, very important, I'm just going to tie it again with self-care. Self-care will help you to lower your stress level. Self-care will help you to really be hydrated, and therefore moving your bowels regularly, where your blood can carry nutrients, where it can actually start to repair itself. And self-care will have you rest and meditate and sit in silence, where you can actually manage the amount of stress hormone that is flooding your circulatory system, your vessels. So all of it comes together. Managing your blood pressure is not just taking your pills, although that is very important. Managing your blood pressure is also decreasing your sodium intake, decreasing how much fat you're adding to your food, decreasing how much processed food you're eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, freshly cooked foods, as opposed to packaged food that you just put in the microwave. All that really help to unload the burden in your circulatory system. It really helps to unload the burden in your blood vessels, so that your heart doesn't have to work so hard. And so really practicing self-care is taking care of your heart. And so that's why, again, I will forever say self-care, and implementing those 3 things that I started off this channel with. For those who are new, you can go back to my previous videos where I talk about how to get quality sleep, how to drink the right amount of water that your body needs, as well as how to de-stress. And so all that I already spoke about. You can go back and watch those videos. But for today, I just wanted to tie in explaining to you what is happening with your heart and your blood vessel in correlation to high blood pressure, what's actually happening, and what you can do to be mindful and make some lifestyle changes to help your heart. Our heart has been with us from the beginning. We need to help our heart. And again, so I will say it again. So a normal blood pressure, the top number is 120, the bottom number is 80 or less. That's normal. High blood pressure is anything above that. When you are at 130 over 90, that's when they you have high blood pressure. But usually when you go to the doctor, when it starts to go past 120 over 80, that's when the doctor says, watch your lifestyle, watch your soft intake, watch your stress, watch your they start to tell you you need to do something different. And then they usually have you come back in 3 months and check it again. In those 3 months, if the number continued to go up, that's when they diagnose you with high blood pressure. But within those 3 months, I would encourage you to get a blood pressure cuff from CVS and take them. Take it while you're at home. Take it while you're restful. Something that happened, and they call it the white coat effect, is that when people go to the doctors or the clinic, they get so stressed that their blood pressure results is higher than normal just for a while they are in front of the doctor. And so some doctors will advise you to do what I'm about to say, and I advise everybody to do this. If your doctor is telling you you should watch your blood pressure, buy one of those cuffs from your local pharmacy store and check it when you're at home by yourself. Not only check it, write it down. Write down what the results are. If you check it every day or every 3 days or every week, take it at the same time. So if you're checking it once a week, if it's every Monday at 9 o'clock, do it every Monday at that 9 o'clock hour, because your body is under the same circumstance, so to speak, and so you can really compare your numbers. Also, remember, you want to sit down and be at rest for at least 5 minutes before you take your blood pressure to make sure that you are getting the correct information from your body. And so if your doctor's telling you to watch it, not only watch how much sleep you're getting, the kind of sleep you're getting, drinking your water, decreasing the eating of packaged food, decreasing your salt, but start taking your blood pressure at home by yourself. Write it down. So when you go back to the doctor, bring that result to your doctor so they can see what your blood pressure is like normally at home. And you might see a difference or you might not, but it's a good thing to do, okay? And what else can I say about blood pressure? There's so much to say about high blood pressure. There's a lot of foods that are very good for your heart that can help, like eating raw garlic, onions. Of course, turmeric is very good for decreasing inflammation that could happen in the body. So adding those to your diet, of course, with those kind of foods, the less cooked they are, the more of the nutrients your body is getting. So garlic, I know, is a little harsh. You might want to just saute a little bit, or you might want to juice it with some other stuff. But those are some of the things you can eat if you're worried about your blood pressure. Of course, you can also have turmeric tea. You can have, there's a lot of different teas that help bring down your blood pressure. Just so many. I'll add them in the description box. But that's all I have to say about blood pressure. And one thing also that I've experienced personally, and other people have experienced as well, is that being constipated or having to move your bowels can also impact your blood pressure when you take it. And so having a good bowel regime will go a long way as well. And of course, if you're eating regularly, you should be moving your bowels 2 to 3 times a day. So just keep that in mind about the timing of the day when you take your blood pressure. I know some women, when they have their menses, that also can impact your blood pressure. So for women, just keep that in mind as well, what's going on with your body when you're having your menses. I will say more about taking care of your colon. I think my next video I will talk about constipation, because constipation is also a huge problem and it impacts us in so many ways. But today I just wanted to say a little bit more about high blood pressure. And so I hope this was helpful to you. And if you find it useful, please hit the like button and share with your friends. If you've not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. I appreciate the support. If you do have some more questions, please drop your questions in the comment section, and or you can email me. Either way, I will respond to you as soon as I get them. You can also book a private consultation with me, Health and Wellness Education, ed.com. You can also email me at healthandwellnessed@gmail.com, and we can schedule a private session. I do health coaching, create meal plans, and I also do medication reviews. Sometimes people are taking so many medication, they have questions or they're feeling certain ways and just want somebody to talk to. We can schedule some time where we can talk about your meds, and even talk about other holistic herbs and medicine that might be useful to you personally. And so reach out to me and we can schedule a consultation. So that's all that I had brought for today. I hope this was helpful again. Thank you so much for your support. And remember, take care of yourself.